Peace, and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of Do Knowledge Radio, place where knowledge is born. This is your host, Knowledge Born Allah, and I got my mystical twin brother in the building. You understand what I'm saying? The man, the myth, the legend, the everyone, the no one,
That's
and
right.
Lord of the realm itself, the ascended and the descended. We
There
got
you
School
go.
the heretic in the building. You understand what I'm saying? Peace and
Peace.
love to you, my brother. What's going on?
Oh, moment, flow, life, man. Yeah.
Right. So I think I peer pressured you somehow, some way into checking out
Never,
this movie.
never. This was a blessing, man. Because it's hard to find movies that I could, that relate.
Mm,
Most are entertainment for me. So yeah, this was a blessing from the ancestors.
that's it. So what was a couple of things for you that was some kind of takeaways from the film?
You froze? Am I froze? Uh-oh. Do you hear me? Is it me? No, I can't hear you. I see you moving every now and again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
You
saying,
good?
yeah. You know, everybody home, so
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I'm the same
I,
way.
I was saying about what was some of the takeaways that you got from the film before we get into the.
Yeah, just the it's based in martial arts and basically the Zen philosophy that Bruce Lee, I guess, was brought up under. But some of the takeaways, one of the scenes, without getting too deep right now, was a teaching taken straight from the Quran. You know what I'm saying? And so one of the takeaways from the film that I got was to show you that these spiritual principles are sprinkled throughout. Like we were talking about before the show, every man has his own path. And so you will find these different principles throughout, no matter what one is walking, you will find these same principles. And so one of the things that, caught my eye when I was watching the film.
I think this is in the literary sense when you look at classical literature and how they study it in the world of humanities. This is the hero's journey personified.
Personified, yeah.
So when they look at conflict and when they introduce conflict in a story, they say man against man, man against nature, man against himself. And then they got man versus technology in there. You see what I'm saying? So they use that in the realm to introduce conflict, to identify and kind of categorize kids. So we see a hero, unbeknownst to the hero, yet readily identifiable, but not really detected in the film. You understand what I'm saying? So he appears to be the least likely, yet the most qualified. You know what I'm
That's,
saying?
yeah. You 100%. You 100% with that. And that is, the same with The Last Dragon. Was it The Last Dragon? That wasn't the Bruce Lee one.
Yeah.
That was Bruce Roy, right?
Bruce Leroy,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the same spiritual concept in that. You understand what I'm saying? And the thing is, like you said, the least likely. All of us, no matter what walk we walk in, consider ourselves to be small and nothing. You know what I'm saying? The least likely. Although, as you see in the, I don't even know if we introduced the movie, but I know it's on the title. The in the beginning of the movie, right? You seen he had the potential. He beat everybody in the beginning,
Right.
but he just wasn't skilled. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't learned yet. He was just doing some slow sideways kicks. You know what I'm saying? He was looking all. He wasn't
Right.
refined. You know what I'm saying? And so he ended up not winning. And that was the beginning of the journey. So it shows that the potential is always there. You just have to go through those refining processes. You understand?
He was disqualified.
Exactly.
He won, but he was disqualified. He had a part about him that he did not take into due regard. And that was the thing that saved him. And the fact that the other guy had that due regard is the thing that got him killed.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So they were, two halves of the same whole in regards to what it was. He was dishonored, Morthon. He was dishonored by being beaten. You see what I'm saying? And in his loss, he gained the victory. He gained access, and in his victory court, he was disqualified, not gain access. So the elder council is telling him, "You are not the archetype."
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So he said, "You will not get the tempered weapon we need." So this was a challenge that the Seekers went to come to year after year to have themselves be found worthy and well qualified to go on this journey. You couldn't just go on this journey.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? So this is the question that he asked. He was talking shit, like Court was talking cash shit. He said, one question first. How come anybody you sent have never returned? This is what he's asked in the elder council. They were looking for someone who looked a certain kind of way, who had a certain kind of discipline, readily available, easily identified style, belonged to a particular group. All of the things that would be right within the society, but not right for this journey, evidently. You see what I'm saying? So he was like, the trials on the way was basically too much. He said, because you have not sent the right man. Like, he was right, but he didn't know he was right. You understand what I'm saying? So his haughtiness and his hunger was something that crippled him along the way too. You see what I'm saying? So, he told him, Cord, you will not go. And just like if your parents tell you something not to do, this is the shit you want to do. You see what I'm saying? So his plan was, I'm gonna follow him and he gonna show me the way. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna just follow behind him. You see what I'm saying? So he said, and that was the disrespectful shit that I was talking about what Bruce Lee had to say about David Carradine, because he suggested David Carradine for the role of Kung Fu, that TV series, because he was not a martial artist. He was a ballet dancer, like Van Damme. You see what I'm saying? He did not start taking martial arts serious until after the Kung Fu series. They went on for 3 seasons, and then after that, he went to learn martial arts. But we was discussing that before, the fighter versus the dancer, and how they show those polarities. And when it's necessary, you have to know who to be and how to be. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm hogging the mic over here.
No, you good. You good. You kicking wisdom. But also, it's a lot of messages along the way. Even in the title, although it's called The Circle of Iron, the silent flute is a almost an oxymoron. You understand what I'm saying? A silent flute. Flutes make noise.
Right.
And so that's almost like the journey he went on. He is looking for something that was already within. You understand? And that's the journey
Right.
we all go on.
Right.
We're looking for something out there, but it's within. And that sounds almost like a contradiction, just like the silent flute. You understand what I'm saying? That's like saying silent noise. I mean, that's almost an oxymoron. So that's when you realize it. That's how truth is. It's a paradox where you can say, like you said, like when you introduced me, you said the all and the nothing. I mean, it's both. You understand what I'm saying? So it's you, but you think it's without, and that is, you're going to be chasing ghosts as he was until he had to realize. You understand what I'm saying? So that title, that's another thing that the title caught my interest, because the silent flute is a oxymoron. So
Yeah, that was Bruce Lee's his title originally for the film. And when they released it as the silent flute. And I believe like some years later they went back and they changed it into the circle of iron because they wanted to keep it in the old. Um, when they had finally got clearance to do the film, Bruce Lee was no longer in that state of mind to where he wanted to do the film. He said they called him. It was in Hong Kong, and they was excited, like, "Yeah, Bruce, we could do this film." And his response was, "Do you know what time it is?" You know what I'm saying? Like, basically, like, why the fuck you calling me with this shit? You see what I'm saying? So this is something that was in the sacred space of him, but also showed the other part. You see what I'm saying? So again, we got the fighter and the dancer. You see what I'm saying? Like some serious martial artists would say that Bruce Lee was not a martial artist.
yeah, I've heard that.
You see what I'm saying? So that's a serious paradox. Did he know the science? You know, the higher sciences, the inner workings of the martial, what makes it an art.
Exactly.
Was he able to look at the sciences and extrapolate the art, extrapolate the philosophy, extrapolate the other culture that's there beyond the realm of the physical? So this is like Bruce Lee versus Shonuff kind of situation. So what he was looking for, Shonuff had, but Shonuff had on a limited level because this is as far as it went with him. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
There was no doubt in his mind that nobody was fucking with him. You understand what I'm saying? Like physically, he's nobody. You understand what I'm saying? Like nobody. He was like from the beginning. Like I'm kind of segueing into that joint, but the way he stood his ground and the people that roll with him, they roll with him with that same kind of mind frame. You see what I'm saying? He was like any 50. He said any 50 of you punks that want me to sit down and shut up. Like he didn't say any 10 of you, 5 of you. He said any 50 of you.
Exactly.
That want me to sit down and shut up. Come down here and make like literally issuing this challenge to everybody. Anybody who came out, and his team understood that and everybody was on code. And the first dude stood up, he was like, "Nah, I got him." You understand what I'm saying? Like literally, like this is what this aspect of it, of the martial science is. You see what I'm saying? This applied science, okay, like to be able to inflict this kind of bodily harm, damage, death, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
The art is to be able to see into that flow and decide that art of fighting without fighting. You can just present yourself in a certain kind of way, and it don't go that way. You see what I'm saying? So the sciences are there. They're martial disciplines. They're there. They're safeguards because, as Aikido teaches, you are in that flow of the universe.
That's
and
right.
when a person attacks, they violate the natural order of the universe, and you're duty bound to bring them back into the flow. You see what I'm saying? Right. Everybody got the art of war, the art of peace. You know, speaks about Aikido in that regard. You see what I'm saying? In that particular structure. You see what I'm saying? So it's like bringing people back into that flow. You see what I'm saying? So in violation of the natural order of the universe, to use that momentum to bring them back into view. There's no kicks, there's no punches, there's nothing. It's simply taking charge of the momentum that's presented, whatever it is, a punch or a kick, and there's a flow, a Chinese sidestep, a block, a toss, or you might have to break an arm or break a leg. You understand what I'm saying? To
Right.
get to eliminate the threat and bring things back into the harmony and flow. You see what I'm saying? So
Yep.
these were some of the things that were apparent in regards to that. Like, he was physically there, but he had to get into that flow that would prepare him truly, you know, uh, along the way. So it was personified outwardly as a guide.
Mm,
Inwardly we know what that was. You see what I'm saying? So in order for him to be able to see it. So like
yeah.
even Bruce's philosophy in regards to what they might see today as mixed martial arts in regards to style. You see what I'm saying?
Mm,
Uh, like going outside of the norm. So this is what he really wanted to impart to the martial arts world, that it's bigger than a punch or a kick or any of these things. There, the higher sciences that are higher art forms being personified. And if you get to grasp those higher principles, you know,
mm.
like Morpheus said, when you ready, you won't have to. You understand what I'm saying? So when he told him, he's like, "What you say? I'm gonna dodge bullets." Like, when you ready, you see what I'm saying? So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. 100%, man. I mean, I can't even add on anything else. I mean, yeah, you 100 with that.
well, we look at the first trial, right?
First trial. Yeah.
Yeah, these these were
That,
all mistakes that I've made along the way early on. After you get a little bit of information, you get a little bit of information, and you out here, you ready to take on the world, right? You,
right.
you
And
out
we all go
here,
through that. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, you out here ready. You out here ready. You
Mm,
high headed. You don't want to tell nobody. No, can't nobody tell you nothing because you figure, you done been through this. You done been through that already. Yap, yap, yap. And that's a natural progression right there.
Natural
You see what I'm
progression.
saying?
That's right. That,
So
that that's the path. I mean, for most all of us, but
right.
most of us have to go through that. Most of the people I deal with are still stuck in that state. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm.
Where they know it, the cup is full. That this is the teaching that
Right.
someone came to his master one time and was trying to learn, but he kept like even in the movie, the what's the main character's name in the
Chord.
silent film? Cord, yeah, Cord. He asked his guru or teacher, kept asking him questions,
Right.
and the teacher said, "Hey, don't ask me questions. This is what was in the Quran, and
Right.
this is when we're full of we get a little bit of knowledge and we think we're in the quote unquote truth. We, where our cup is full, we can't hear nothing anybody has to say because we already know what's true, right? And like I said, there was a Zen teaching where a man came to a master and was acting like he already knew it, and the Zen master was pouring, and he started pouring the tea, and the cup overflowed and kept overflowing. And the man said, "Hey, stop! Why are you still pouring it?" And he basically said, "Because just like this cup is full, so is your mind. I cannot add one drop of tea into it." You understand what I'm saying? And so along the path, one has to realize, one has to be open to learn instead of thinking you know it all. You understand what I'm saying? We should all be open to learning. We should all be open-minded, which is a rare thing to find in certain circles. And so the first trial, right, with the monkeys, right, like is nature, and that's a beautiful aspect. But one thing the master said was that He said, when you remove the mask of the ego, what did he say? He said, he said,
The way of the monkey is to play the fool. While
yeah,
you
the
laugh
role of the
at his
monkey.
antics, he
Exactly. It's
bites
to
you
play
from behind. He said, unmask his ego, and you will find a coward disguised as a monkey.
There you go. Unmask the ego, and you'll find a coward, right? And that's basically what we all present ourselves as. This mask, right? That plays the fool. In spiritual traditions, might I say. What we believe we are is nothing but our mask. When you say the word personality, it comes from a Greek word persona, right? Which literally means mask. Okay. This is what we present to people when we speak, our personality, our persona, how we look, how we talk, how we act. But when you see through this, when you unmask this, you will see that it was playing the fool the whole time. And so these are deeper spiritual principles that cloud your vision of actually getting to that book at the end that reveals the truth. Do you understand what I'm saying? So yeah, that was an interesting first test, you know. And then he walked off laughing.
He
You know what
played
I'm saying?
himself.
Yeah.
His answer was even more like you see what I'm saying. You know like we living in a vein where there's no respect for the elder generation. So you
Mm-hmm.
might hear your elders tell you something to prepare you for the journey you about to go on so it can make it easier for you because they
Mm-hmm.
didn't listen either. They're not telling you because they got all the answers. They learned
Exactly.
on the same path just like you. So they're trying
Mm-hmm.
to lessen it for you. So he told them about the monkey, and his answer was like, I watched him. I'll study them very closely.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
motherfucker right here, like, damn. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and when I go back and look, like, going through these initiatory rites, I was like, damn, that was me right there. Same
Mm-hmm.
shit, same dumb shit. You see what I'm saying? Like, so going back, and even with our children, we see the same thing. We hear the same responses. You see what I'm saying? The same kind of something that
Yeah.
has to be real for them. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, all
Exactly.
right, it has to be real for them. Don't touch that stove. It's hot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now you remember.
Mm-hmm. And that, like you said, you have to you no matter how many times you tell somebody, they have to go through it themselves in order to learn. You know what I'm saying? And this is the same with any you could read about Malcolm, about Martin, about whoever your idol is. Not until you go through the process, you will never learn. You know, like I talked to Suave, and he want to build a community of brothers and get on land, right? And I've been through it. All I can do is share my experience, right? I've lived in a community with brothers and sisters, and it's not all peaches and cream. There's going to be a lot of infighting, a lot of people moving out. And so when you think to move together, you think, nah, these are people that won't do that. But it's not until you get in close quarters with people and experience it for yourself, then you will see what somebody was telling you 5-10 years ago. You understand what I'm saying? But you have to literally go through them trials and tribulations for yourself to learn. I could say the words, but it's going to go in one ear and out the other. And so just like these movies, the master was telling him along the way, but you're gonna have to go through it. You understand? And that's all them trials he had to go through. He learned at each step. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
So he goes and he sees, because he's supposed to have lost track of Morthon, and Morthon thought that he
mm-hmm,
got away. You see what I'm saying? So Morthon goes through the trial, and he was like, Morthon, what's the first trial? He's like, monkeys. You understand
yeah,
what I'm saying? So he's like,
mm-hmm,
like, this motherfucker just told me about some monkeys. So
yeah,
now he's prepared. Otherwise, they've been dragging his ass out too because there was somebody that was there right before him.
mm-hmm,
So he came in there and he got to see what was waiting for him twice. He saw Morthon and he helped Morthon die warrior's death. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
But he walked in, he seen the other dude get laid out and they was dragging his ass out. You see what I'm saying? Like basically. So he came in there and he said, he asked him, what fighting style do you use?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So he asked him a couple questions. He said, a man with no father and no mother. You see what I'm saying? So he told him he didn't have no acknowledged style. He didn't have no particular school. He was like, I ain't got nothing to do with you then. You understand? Like basically, like he said, go in peace. He told him, like, yo, like you good. You see what I'm saying? And it wasn't enough for him. He and went on about his business to the next trial. He didn't have to fight his way through that particular trial. Because if he was supposed to fight, he would have fought. Then he told him, he was like, all right, I guess if I'm your trial, I'll put you in my begging bowl. You understand what I'm saying? So he had to go through the aspect of seeing what this was firsthand in physicality. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and he was losing until he remembered that he was prepared. You see what I'm saying? So he heard his higher conscious speak to him in the voice of the guru. And he began to be victorious. But he was already victorious. You know, sometimes we got a tendency to have to try to put something extra into it to say that we went through something. You see what I'm saying? So, like, he went through that particular thing, and he told him, I put you in my begging bowl. So again, his victory was not something that aided him. It was something that made him more distorted. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, he would have been better in death or actually just leaving in that first trial. Like, I don't know if it was Saw part 3 or 4. I think it was part 4. The black dude was in Saw, and all he had to do in the movie was go with his girlfriend. And he went through all of them trials and tribulations trying to save everybody and couldn't save a motherfucker in the movie. Everybody that he tried to save died, and they died excruciating, horrifying pain. You see what I'm saying? So this is what jigsaw lesson to this black dude. Like, you've been through enough shit already. I don't need to put you through nothing. All you need to do is learn how to not be involved. Learn how to relax because you good. And he had to go through it. You see what I'm saying? Just like indiscriminate to what it was. It was simple for him. This was a simple process for him. But if he went in there unprepared, they would have been carrying his ass out. So he wouldn't have made it past that first trial anyway.
That's right.
I think that was interesting for him to go through that dynamic. And like, you see how you could be motivated by the crowd, by the mob. Like the monkeys was in there cheering and all that while he was whipping everybody's ass. And then when he started getting laid out,
they got quiet, huh?
The shit got real quiet. You see what I'm saying? Like, so you playing again to the crowd. Like, I coached basketball for many years, and once you see a player start looking in the crowd, it's time for them to go. They gotta have a seat.
Exactly.
Go right to the seat. I remember that one of those North Carolina games, Vince Carter, he dunked when he was supposed to pass the ball.
Yeah.
Bobby Knight sat his ass on the bench. He said, "He looking crazy when he was supposed to pass the ball." Like, yo, like this wasn't the time. So, you know, like the crowd had you charged up. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's that. You know, oh, he got a battery in his back type of situation. So in both cases, with both of them, the victim that had distorted them, that had made them blind. You see what I'm saying? So, pretty interesting.
Yeah, and so I know we pressed for time. We got about minutes on to um the next lesson, right? So he's walking in.
He met back up with his teacher in the cave, and it was some robbers that had came in there. If you remember that part.
What? Hold on. Where? I thought after the monkeys, he went on a journey to find the robes.
Yeah,
Right.
right. Before that,
Uh huh.
he saw the man in oil.
Yeah, in the
So first
oil.
he met up with the teacher,
Uh huh.
and there was the whole thing with the caves, and he said, last night I saw you perform miracles. He was like, my skills are not here to impress you. You see what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like he
yeah,
he tried to open up that apple like he did.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like he did it and he showed him like it was effortless, and he was trying to go through it, and he heard him crush the apple instead of being able to rip it off. He was like, the important thing is eating, not how you get to it. Then he said, eat.
Yeah, exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
the little proverbs that he was presenting him with through the whole time, he said, a fish saved my life once. He's like, how? I ate it. You
Exactly.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
you see, like the pearls of the ancient wisdom in regards to these processes preparing
Mm-hmm.
him for the situations where he would face. You see what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't nothing to it. And so
Yeah.
each thing that he reflected on with him previously, he was being prepared, yet he still had to go through it. You see what I'm
Still, yeah.
saying? So
Exactly.
so he left there, and he saw Eli Wallach's character dissolving in oil.
Mm-hmm. Now, yeah. Now, for anybody who practices any spirituality, they know there's these sects that abstain from sex. Because they try to quell their desires. And so that's what the man was doing. He was instructing them too. He says, I'm sitting in this oil trying to get rid of this member between my legs. You understand what I'm saying? It's gone yet. Right. And so, the Cord was like, I took a vow, I have no problem, doing that. And so we see, like I said, in spirituality, you have eunuchs of sort.
Right.
You have people who abstain from sex to try to get to this book that's at the end. You understand what I'm saying? And so Cord also took that vow. But we see in the next scene after that, he goes to his next test. He starts seeing all this party, all these women half naked.
My man told him before he left, he said, it's enough room for both of us in this boat right here. He was like, come on in here with me. He said, if you can't cut it off, it only bring you misery. You understand? This is what he told him.
Mm-hmm.
He said, he's like, when he walked up to him, he was like, can I help you?
Exactly.
He was like, well, what? He's like, well, what? He's like, who put you in here? He was like, I put me in here. You see, like, you see the actualization that's there. Like, he's like, who? He was looking for some outside force to try to help him, thinking like he's in distress. He's like, nah,
exactly.
I'm here. He was like, you should see a doctor. He said, I am a doctor.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, he was like, he's like, do you have any family? Yeah, my wife, she wasn't happy at first, but then she understood. He's like, I got a little water, a little bit of rice. You understand what I'm saying? Like, so he's saying that he had transcended to a level where the physical pleasures was no regard for him. He said he fasted. He said you became one with the universe. He said I was the universe. He said, but that thing, it called him right back down to, like, he's telling him, like, yo, no matter what you try, We understand what I'm saying. As long as you're here, this is what it's going to be. See what I'm saying?
That's
Like
right.
he said, he said he thought about cutting it off. He said, but when he went to do it, he
Mm,
couldn't. He was like it was the pleasure again. You see what I'm saying?
exactly. Yeah.
And then he's like, you took a vow of chastity. He's like, yeah. He's like, you won't keep it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Basically, like,
Mm,
you don't know what's ahead of you. I know what's ahead of you.
exactly.
You
Yeah. Again,
ain't about
trying
to
to
keep that.
exactly.
Right,
Again, trying to tell someone, but they have to
right.
go through it, right?
And
And
and that was a point where his teacher didn't meet up with him until it was over. You see what I'm saying? So it was no warning before that. That was the warning. You see what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Yeah.
So, like, even going back to the monkey man, he was like, "Are there others ahead of me?" You see where the motivation was at. It wasn't
Mm,
about actually even getting it done. He was trying to get it done first, better, whatever the case may be. You see what I'm
mm,
saying? And he told him, he said, yes, but different seekers had different trials. So different people were different stages of development with different lessons that they had to learn along the way. So there are others there, but ain't
yeah.
nobody where you are. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
Because
this
you have
was
to go
something for him.
exactly
Right.
because each person has their own journey. You understand what I'm saying? Like we were talking about
Right.
in the beginning. So nobody is where you're at. Nobody's where I'm at. Nobody's where
Right.
anybody's at. But there are people that have possessed the book and are guardians of the book. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But nobody has been
Right.
in your shoes and walked your path. Each path is
Right.
different. And so, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because we didn't bring that up on the show. I know we spoke about it before, but
Sure.
yeah, everybody has a different path. So, like that scene, especially with the member part, man, because I don't know why, but I feel in a previous life I was a monk or something. You know what I'm saying? And this scene reminded me that
Yeah.
you have these monks who go off in the caves and try to get away from the world. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It's the same thing as what he was doing in the pot. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And what I realized is that, because even in my heart I wanted to be one of those. But I
Mm.
realized when I ultimately seen the book is that I didn't need that. They need that. You understand?
Right.
That's their journey. You
Right.
understand? But not everybody has to go through those processes. And
Right.
so yeah, so that part reminded me of just how the monks just exclude themselves from life. You know what I'm saying? Because of the desires, and you get caught up in the worldliness, especially when you're on the spiritual path. You get caught up in worldliness, and it will veer you from the path. But even Cord learned that he learned from his lesson in the next trial.
And
So
that was the ultimate one. That's the one that rids of many of us. You see what I'm saying? That's the one where many of us meet our demise right there.
that's
You
right.
see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So that stage was set, and before that stage was set, you saw something interesting. You seen this supremely immense warrior come
Mhm.
to issue a challenge. Now you see this little dude versus this big guy. And
Yeah.
he's like, how did this little dude overwhelm this immense, bodybuilding type of black man? You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You had to see what motivated him. And this was, Cord thinking he could physically get through this without any aid of any spiritual motivation. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So again, we come to this role and we like, okay, we looking for liberation, we looking for sovereignty. Look at the methodology we're going to use. We're going
Mhm.
at it from this angle only. And then some people say we have to go at it from this angle only. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And we're both in error in regards to our methodology and don't see the intertwining and the union in regards to the two. You see what I'm saying? With
Mm-hmm.
both of these approaches. So putting it all together. So he goes into this situation, with Shang Shah, which is David Carradine's other character. You see what I'm saying? Like the ultimate test before you get to the end. He got a preview of that. He didn't even, you understand what I'm saying? Like he didn't even get, because he wasn't qualified to be there. He had stumbled upon it and went in there to investigate. So he was not even prepared for that particular trial. You see what I'm saying? So when homeboy say after he fought the big dude, he see the big dude get killed and drug away. He said, "When do we fight?" He say, "After we sleep, my boy." You understand what I'm saying? So he had already set the stage for him to come back later on enraged. He was like, Tara, my nice wife, you may have her. You understand what I'm saying? So, he partook, and that was the thing that had him erred. You see what I'm saying? He left out of that situation enraged. So whatever it was for, the big dude, it had him blinded to the point where he couldn't focus. He wasn't together. He thought he could make it on brute alone. You see what I'm saying? Like many of us think, for that terminology, off the muscle, what that means, you're dealing strictly in the realm of physicality, and there is no other way. You see what I'm saying? You might be able to have it. You might be good with it to a certain point, but everything has a limitation. You see what I'm saying? Spiritually, you might be there. You like, yeah, I'm on here, boom, 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 boom. That has a limitation. You see what I'm saying? And this is the science of it. You see what I'm saying? Knowing the limitation, and then when to go to the next step, when to escalate, when to elevate, when to, when to use and when not to. You see what I'm saying? So we see this displayed before it even happens. We see the fight, if you ill prepared, before it even takes place. You see what I'm saying? So he was right in that tailspin, about to be drawn up in that fine mist, and what's the neck of alcohol he got checked by his own doing. Back in that pot with the and like D10. The answer is in here with me. This is what he told him. You see what I'm saying? So, with him being headstrong, trying to pursue it, then he met up with his teacher, and his teacher gave him something else. He gave him a moment of solitude, a moment of reflection, a moment of meditation. You see what I'm saying? So now this is another level here to suppress those desires that are uncontrollable. You see what I'm saying? So he brought all of that to his meditation, and he said it was something I thought that I could have or control, is love, and blah 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 blah. And he was like, "Yo, you ain't even got no control over yourself. How you gonna control somebody else?" You see what I'm saying? So he had to come and get that together. So the next point was the Moses' quest for knowledge, situation right there. You see what I'm saying? So he got that, they went through that, and this is where he found out and was like, I was amazing. You see what I'm saying? When I saw that, I was like, oh shit, so that was pretty interesting in that regard. You wanted to say something on that? Let me just leave that right there.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you pretty much hit it. But like the man in the pot said, he ain't gonna be able to control it. So he ended up breaking his vow, right? And then
as
right when he woke up, the woman that he loved, that had broke his vow with, was hung on a cross, was hung on a tree or whatever.
Right.
And so, he lost his emotion. You know what I'm saying? So to fast forward, hold on, because I don't want to skip anything. But I know we're pressed for time. But when he came back to the same dude that gave him the wife, or gave him the woman.
Right.
He was like, "Why you come to me? You know, aren't you mad? I killed your wife. You know, I killed your woman." And he said, "No."
With these hands.
Yeah, with these hands. And he said, "No, it was me." Yeah, he realized. You understand? Because that takes some deep insight to realize that. And that's what he had to go through that, though. You know what I'm saying? And it takes deep insight because most of us are in the mind frame of, "No, he did it." You understand what I'm saying? He did it to me, and so I want to pay him back. And so that's a jump that most of the masses cannot make at this particular time. You know, everybody has their own path, and maybe a moment from now they'll make that jump. But most of the masses are stuck in, "No, he did it." And so that's why you see all the wars and all the envying and stuff, because they're still stuck that he did it. And so that was a jump. That jump right there showed the whatever that mystic in the desert's name is.
Yeah,
told him he was
Shah.
ready. Yeah, Shang Shah. He was ready. You understand? This is not the same chord. You know what I'm saying? That I
Not
met
the same
before.
chord. That was a cold line. Not the same.
Yeah,
chord.
you know what I'm saying? Just off
you see
of
the
that
massaging that cow and killed the shit out that cow. You know
Didn't
what I'm saying? Like right for the slaughter. Like right for the slaughter. You see what I'm saying? And just wow, just pop them.
Right behind
the cow. Right. Cow dead. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and so
like a lamb getting led to the slaughter. You see what I'm saying? Like that rage that he had was the same rage that Motan had at the beginning for him. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you cheated. Fight me again. He said, I want to help you, not kill you, because he would have killed him if he came in. You see what I'm saying? Like he was trying to redeem himself, just right there in that same kind of message. You see what I'm saying? He was like, he said, I want to help you, not kill you, not knowing that he would have to kill him right after.
Exactly.
You understand?
and ain't that ironic? So yeah. So the fast forward, he fights dude. They end up coming to a truce, and he said that boat will take you to where you need to go. Right. So he went across the boat.
Right. Was waiting for him.
He went across the water and came to look like heaven. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's sitting in peace, flowers everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And he was still asking, what did he ask dude for? He said, where's the book, or something to that effect. Still looking for the book. Oh yeah, when do we fight? Yeah, that's what he said. When do we fight? Yeah. He ready to fight someone? You know what I'm saying? He still hasn't, even though he's learning, he's still seeking. You know what I'm saying? That's a symbolism of fighting. And so
he didn't fear death though.
Yeah, he didn't.
He couldn't get scared to death. He said that was the only thing that he knew that was real. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So he came out there like a whisper. You know, they say death comes like a whisper. He was like, you said you a welcome friend, is what he told death.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
exactly. I mean, he had his guard up and everything.
He had to face death in that match. You see what I'm saying? So you see everything that the big dude had to go through before him, but it wasn't made plain. You see what I'm saying? So this is how he was successful. He had to face everything that he went through and be victorious. You see what I'm saying? So again, the sound of the silent flute that played in his head brought him back into focus to where his mind could not be manipulated and his heart could not be in dismay by what he's seen. He could face it head on. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's what it was. Like, you see that part, in Matrix 2 where Neo's fighting Sarah. You understand what I'm saying? Like, he just stops out of mid-fight. He just stops like, oh, okay, you can proceed. he's distraught. Like, he's still ready to bang. He's like, the Oracle has many enemies. I had to be sure. He's like, you could have just asked. He's like, nah, you don't truly know somebody until you fight him, because he was looking to fight. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
Yep.
that's taking that boat along the way. He kind of reflecting. He's like, this got to be some kind of setup. Set up the whole time. You see what I'm saying? So he got that uncomfortable, unguard, perceptive kind of thing, and that wasn't the situation. Like he almost ruined the whole situation based off of him being, it wasn't that type of place. Everything else that he got to, okay, but this was a place of guardianship. This was a place of ascension. This is what you fought to get elevated space. There is no more fighting. Remember 36 chambers, that 35th chamber was everybody was in there chanting. You understand? It wasn't none of that. It wasn't nothing like one level down. It was you were within the edge of your life. The next level, they talking about the sutra. How many times had you read going through this path of enlightenment and training another muscle of your being? The spiritual sense right here, where you would seek to find peace, but you are prepared for war. Like you showed up in a way of peace. You see what I'm saying? But war is inevitable. You see what I'm saying? To do that.
Yep, that's right. And so
this is what it was. In this kind of final scene where he finally meets Zetan. You see what I'm saying? So he's thinking like, okay, I'm about to see what's in this book because everything was about the book. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And boom.
He told him, revealed the book, and what he saw was himself. You know what I'm saying?
He laughed.
He laughed.
He laughed like first he was in dismay. You see what I'm saying? The next page, the next page, the next. He said, "We wait here year after year, longing, some risking their life and blazing expectation to find out what's in this book. And when they open it, what do they find? Themselves.
Themselves.
But there's nothing to take back. You see what I'm saying? He told him he could be the guardian of the book. He would be the next legend.
Yeah.
And he wasn't motivated by that shit. Like, so it was like, I'm good. He laughed at that shit. He was like, nah. He's like, one of them plays a flute that only I can hear. And they're like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, he done went on a whole nother level. You see what I'm saying? So
because
he left.
Yeah. And he didn't. I don't know. You keep cutting in and out.
He would rather teach on the way. Yeah. He would rather teach on the way is what he was saying.
Exactly. Or instead of be, something that's looked at as this, like Mike Tyson's Punch Out. He's the last guy that's guarding the book because that's nothing but an ego. You know what I'm saying? And he learned that along the trial or along his initiation. Right. That's the one that plays the fool. You know what I'm saying? So Zetan, what is Zetan? This big old guardian of the book. He's just a simple old man that's
right.
He wasn't that what he thought he was in his mind. And so he said, no, I'm not about to do that. I'm about to go, be me, be with the flute.
He wanted to be right. He wanted to be along the way. Like, you see what I'm saying? He would be a guide for somebody else who was coming through, who was most worthy. You see what I'm saying? But may not have the particular way. So he goes back and he meets up with David Carradine, and he said, "You looked in the book." He said, "What did you find?" He said, "Everything." So he passes him the flute, and Core starts playing the flute, and David Carradine starts dancing. You see what I'm saying? Like this is the whole situation with the dancer and the fighter, and at the end, the ascension is to be able to move in that particular rhythm and flow. You see what I'm saying? That's the ascension. That's the celebration. So that shit was pretty wild, and that's one of my tools.
That's a movie. Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on to somebody Because yeah, that movie's a great teaching tool. Like you said, he became, like you said, he became the one with the silent flute. And the
Right.
thing is, to be in that flow and really to be in that flow of life. That's what he learned when he said, "I seen everything." Is that
Right.
when you identify with everything, you are able to show passion or awe. You're able to let go of your ego and your own lust. If you're able to see yourself even as your neighbor, you're able to let go of your lustful action towards his wife. You know what I'm saying? And so again, when you see that you're all you can do is help others along the path to find themselves. You understand? And which ultimately, when they find the book, they will see they have found everything. You know, everything that you were searching for. So you no longer have to be a Zeton or any one of these men along, that are revered or looked at as somebody who is the master. You know what I'm saying? He could be just like the flute player, a teacher along the way. And so, like I said, one of the lessons before you end it, especially when they were running from them horsemen in the middle of the movie, and the guru, what did he do? First, he broke the boat. Remember that? You hear me, or you cutting out?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, remember when he broke the boat?
Right.
That's in the Quran, right?
Right.
I,
Right.
I forgot the place that it's in, but it's the same story that was applied to an angel was guiding Moses,
Yeah.
and they took a trip on a boat, and the angel said, "Don't ask me no questions," right? And along this journey, and Moses said, "Okay, I won't." So the first thing they did was they took a boat across the sea, and the guide or the guru broke a hole in the boat, and Moses said, "Why'd you do that, man? This is poor people's boat." And he said, and he said, "I said, don't ask me no questions, right?" Same
Right.
thing in the movie. Then they got to what was it? Some gold. Remember, he covered up the gold. Same thing in
Right.
the Quran. The guru and Moses went, and the guru built back the wall to cover up gold in the Quran. And
Right.
Moses said, "Man, we could have got something to eat. Why are you sitting here fixing this wall?" You understand? And then again in the Quran, the guru killed 2 kids, but in the movie, David Carradine just slapped the kid. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so we end up revealing the message at the end. And in the Quran, it says, I bore a hole in the boat because when we got to the other side, some robbers were going to take it. You understand?
Right.
But when you're in the moment, you think it's evil that somebody's boring a hole in the boat of some poor people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then he said, "Well, why'd you build that building?" He said, "There's a treasure under this house, so I built it for the kids to grow up and get the treasure." And also, he said, "Why'd you kill them 2 kids?" And the angel said to Moses, "Because those kids were going to grow up and be, evil or whatever it was."
Right.
But it's the same concept that was in that story, so
Yeah.
that was
He told
interesting.
them he wanted them to have the memory of them in their innocence while they were young. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the memory and the shame that it would have brought to their family and to their bloodline after. Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, that's the movie, man. That was anybody watching, check out The Silent Flute, or it's called The Circle of Iron. I mean, it'll remind you like your Bruce Leroy movie, same concept. But yeah,
Yeah. A circle of iron,
Circle of
silent
Iron.
flute.
So yeah, man. Like I said, I appreciate you having me on.
Oh,
No,
love. Got another show in like 3 minutes.
yeah, I'm gonna let you go, man, and enjoy the rest of your day. All right, brother. I guess you can't hear me. You keep cutting in and out. So I'm gonna just
All
let
right,
you go.
so-
Islam, brother. All
All
right.
right. Peace.
All right.